is such an awesome event, and I just can't thank you guys enough for being here and being a part of it. This event is so important because the current state of Black mental health, as we are today, is in crisis. And unfortunately, within the Black and Brown community, we just haven't always had spaces to freely express ourselves or have our feelings validated, or even be acknowledged. So this event is just very important to give us that room to do so. So I'm super excited to hear everyone's input, hear everyone's thoughts, and I know that you guys will participate, and it's going to be such an awesome event. So a little more information on why this event is so important. Black Mental Health Matters is an emotional justice movement responding to the need of healing and emotional support systems for the Black community members. Our goal is to expand mental health awareness by destigmatizing mental health through intentional outreach, education, and conversations. We are a movement led for and by Black individuals. As a clinician, I'm a therapist in the Orlando area, and as an African-American woman, I can speak firsthand to the struggles that we face within our community as it relates to mental health, especially with my clients, my personal experiences, and things that I've encountered throughout my career. A lot of things that African Americans and Black and Brown people have experienced, our traumas have unfortunately been normalized. And because of that, we haven't been given the proper space to really process things adequately. And we've kind of been forced to kind of just brush things under the rug or kind of just deal with them. Whereas other cultures and other races have more opportunities to properly deal with those things. So this event is just so important to myself and my community, because it really gives us the space and the opportunity to have healthy dialogue with people that look like us and people that can identify with similar backgrounds. So I'd like to go over our agenda as well as our comfort agreement, and just so that you all can know the flow of the evening. We'll have our performers. Next, we'll have our panel. Then we'll have our Q&A session. And then we'll go into our awesome breakout rooms. And then we'll have a raffle where you'll be given the opportunity to win prizes. Everyone likes prizes. So to go over our comfort agreement, by being on this call, you are agreeing to following the comfort agreement, which states you understand that the panel and Q&A will be recorded. You agree to turn off your video and mute yourself during the panel and Q&A portions. We are going to value supportive listeners. You're welcome to mute yourself during the breakout sessions. You can also have your video off or on during the breakout sessions as well. We ask that you give everyone an equal chance to share. During the breakout discussions, some people may be a little more enthusiastic or a little more extroverted than others. We encourage all of you to share your experiences. But if you've spoken out a good bit and you've kind of shared your point of view, we do ask that you give others the opportunity to share their experiences as well. We also agree that it's okay to not be okay. Again, this is a safe space that we want to create, a space for you to be vulnerable and a space for you to kind of take off your cape and your superhero hat and just be vulnerable in this moment if you can allow yourself to. And we ask that you honor what everyone has to say, and we ask that what is shared here stays here in this space. So we'll get this show on the road here. First, we are going to introduce Artsy Q. Artsy Q identifies as Black queer, a non-binary individual. They are a poet, storyteller, workshop facilitator from Denver, Colorado. Their passion and work are driven by their art activist evolution when it comes to breathing life in and taking Black imagination and Black joy. So we ask that everyone welcome RCQ.
Oh, wow. That's really nice. Thank you. It's like the nicest anyone has ever read my bio, so I appreciate you.
Well, thank
cool.
you.
Like they said, my name is Briana or Bree. I go by ArtsyQ. You can find me on social media at ArtsyQ. And I'm going to do poems for you. Also, I don't memorize any of my poems because it's 2020 and we're in a pandemic, so I'm gonna be reading off my computer, so if you see my eyes moving, it's okay. Cool. I'm gonna start off with one, and it is called Creations, and I hope you all enjoy. Okay. I am the beginning of creations, a graveyard waiting to be filled with soft black bodies. I am heaven. I am the child of sounds, of trap basses, of laughter, of crying, of humming, of sounds that can only be known as black. I was created through these sounds, manifested my tongue over conversations in the womb. You see, this is how birth was made. I am my mother's smile, my grandmother's courage, and the strength of every black woman I have made love to. You see, I am loved. Not a figment of imagination that he played on the screen. Reach out and feel this skin that is alive. I am the protector of every little black child, because this world has shown that they are incapable of loving a creation so fragile and so powerful at the same time. I am terrified to die, scared to become an ancestor and a god without my consent. I am the survivor of a history that should have never happened, of PTSS, of PTSD, of anxiety, depression, of things that my church told me to pray about that I still see in my cousins' faces. I am afraid to live in this world. And I'll be damned if I become another Facebook video being circled around. I'm doing everything I can to keep this from happening. I'm afraid of becoming another hashtag, one that only gets circled around for 2 days and is never to be seen again. Please remember the name Briana Taylor. I'm afraid of what this justice people are demanding, because it does not include people like me, Black, trans, queer, disabled, and holy. I'm turning off my phone when the world gets too much. I'm ignoring the Beckys and Karens sliding into my DMs when they send thoughts and prayers. I'm just trying to stay alive, y'all. But at the end of the day, I know who I am. Yes. I am the end product of a slave's dream, and ain't I pretty? I am powerful, and ain't I doing the damn thing? And ain't I gonna win? And I am what happens when all the ancestors and me have fallen in love. And I am heaven. Thank you.
Yes.
Yay.
Woo.
Wow. I appreciate it. Man, I went to an open mic 2 days ago and no one snapped, and I was like, I'm leaving. So I appreciate y'all. I was like, am I a bad poet? I'm not a bad poet. Okay.
Amazing.
Ooh.
That was beautiful.
Appreciate y'all. Cool. I have another one really quickly. Am I doing two? Am I waiting? I don't know what's happening.
You're doing two.
Yay! Cool. This one I wrote literally this morning just because I was feeling all the feels and Pride Month is over and I'm just like, So I don't have a title for this one, but who titles their poems anyway? Cool. Pride Month, Juneteenth, Black Lives Matter. Oh, can you sit on my panel? Tokenism, exhaustion, fetishization. Did you see this video of insert Black Death check-ins? Not from anyone. You wonder if God is real or just the Venmo notification sound, ka-ching, tithing, ka-ching, thinking of you, ka-ching. God currently isn't available at this time. Here's $5. Ka-ching, I'm sorry you're going through this. Let me know if you need anything. XOXO. You know these Black bodies had Venmos too. You know these Black bodies needed financial assistance too. You know these Black bodies needed resources you've been hiding under your throat too. I pluck white teeth and white masks from out of my mouth and floss white tears from my eyelashes. And I pray for my family members who remain unnoticed hashtags, yet you pray for a quicker quarantine. And yet I pray for my family members still living without resources, dealing with mental health struggles, still trying to make a living off of what's left of royalty, yet you pray for the bars to open soon. I pray for my family members found in suitcases at the bottoms of rivers. I wonder how long it would take my body to sink back into the ocean. If I dip my toe in it, will my ancestors try to save me? You see, I think of this often, and maybe that's why I need therapy or a hug, probably both. I am tired of pulling people into caring, tired of making my body heavy for others to understand. I'm just outright tired in general. But yet it's Pride Month and Juneteenth, and I think Black Lives Matter. Facebook comments that are unnecessary. Can I pick your brain for a second? Can you explain intersectionality to me again? Did you see this video of insert Black death? Another Black trans woman has been, another Black trans man has been. Nobody is listening to me. Check-ins, ka-ching. And that's the last one. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Oh, that's
I felt that.
Wow.
Yes,
I
indeed.
did hear that.
So amazing.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So much for that. That was so powerful. Thank you for sharing that beautiful talent. That was really awesome. Thank you for that. Wow. Whew. Okay. Let's try to transition into our next performer. I invite you all to kind of think about how you heal when faced with trauma, when faced with adversity, when faced with a challenge or something that you haven't quite processed properly. I want you to think of how you heal. We all heal differently. Some of us heal through music, poetry, spoken word, comedy. So our next performer, he is going to offer a great method of healing, which some of us identify with, such as myself, which is comedy. And he will be sharing his great talent with us. So Kevin is a local comic out of Kissimmee, Florida. He loves comedy. He loves breaking down pop culture and social norms. He's excited to be here with us today. Please, everyone, give it up for Kevin Deane.
Hey. How's it going, everybody?
Hi, Kevin.
How y'all doing? Kissimmee, Florida in the house. And let me just let y'all know how I heal personally is chicken wings and whiskey. So if y'all want to hit that cash app, it's Kevin. You know how else I heal? I heal by being around people that look and sound like me. This is everything to me. I'm so happy to be a part of this right now. I know they introduced me as a comedian, but I don't want y'all to think of me as a comedian. I want y'all to think of me as friend and brother, because that's what I am right now.
That's what's up.
You feel me?
Yes.
Honestly, this is weird for me.
Yes.
I never done nothing like this before. I'm a stand-up comedian. They got me sitting down telling jokes. I'm out of my element right now, but I'm looking around. I see all these black squares of black people around me. I feel like I'm in a cyber Brady Bunch reunion kind of situation.
Black is powerful.
This is fire, though. This is super dope. I needed this, honestly. With everything that's going on, we got a pandemic one week. We got killer hornets the next week. We got white people protesting haircuts on the third week. Like, what is going on right now? Haircuts? I didn't even know white people got haircuts. White people I can't see a white person getting in a barber chair like, hook me up with a high top fade, man, and make it funky. That's crazy. And honestly, the only reason black people aren't protesting haircuts is because we all got a friend named Jamal who will cut our hair in the barbershop or the garage if we need it.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all got me looking like 12 months of slave out here. This is rough. It got me having a hat on at all times. And Puerto Ricans are worse because they all got a dude named Hector in the backyard. Like, yo, just walk past the kitchen and the iguana, say hi to my abuela. She's cooking sancocho, and meet me in the back. I'll shape you up.
Yes. Yeah.
And before y'all get mad that I'm talking about Spanish people, I want y'all to know I'm actually from the capital of Puerto Rico, Kissimmee, Florida.
No, you didn't.
Recently, we've been giving a lot of white people flack for racism, but Spanish people have been kind of getting fast and loose with the N-word. I don't know if my black friends have noticed this. Have y'all noticed this?
Yes. Yes.
We used to reserve that right. That was a reserved right for Spanish dudes that could really get busy on the mic, like Fat Joe, Big Pun. Those dudes we let get off every now and again. But now every dude that's a snitch with a lace front and a rainbow wig is saying it in front of two people. I don't know if black people are going to be okay with Tekashi for very much longer. I don't know if black people are okay with Tekashi right now. It's the reason times out here. But honestly, I devised a list. I sit on a high council of Black people. I don't know if y'all know this about me, but we all sit together and we've devised a list of the Spanish people that cannot say the N-word anymore. So Puerto Ricans, if you're in the house and you're listening right now, listen up. If you got a racist abuela, if granny's racist, you can't say the N-word anymore. Hands down. If you got a kid that's 5 years old or younger and he's afraid to give Black people high fives, you can't say it when he grows up, and you can't say it no more either. And honestly, if you're translating All Lives Matter to Spanish at any point on your Facebook page, I'm gonna need you to hand over your N-word card. I don't want to hear you saying it anymore.
Aww.
Yo, straight up, honestly, man, it feels so good to be around. It feels so good to be around y'all. This is everything for me. Let me look at my notes over here. I feel like I got Spanish people in my DMs right now, mad at me. Oh man. Honestly, the craziest part about all of this to me, between the Facebook protests and stuff, is the All Lives Matter movement. I didn't realize that the All Lives Matter people had been around for a while. Did y'all know that? They had been around. They had been around since the 90s, honestly. They were protesting because they were trying to get Urkel off the air. Did y'all know that?
No.
Get Urkel off the air. They were like, all families matter. Why? We got Family Matters on TV. We got other people who matter too. My friends matter. Ross, Chandler. And you know what? My friend Danny matters. He got his wife passed away recently, but he got his brother-in-law and best friend Chloe to raise 3 little white girls. They got a full house. Their full house matters. And you know what? And I'm not racist. I'm not saying it because I'm white. My best friend Sinclair, she doesn't have a regular family, but she lives with Khadijah, Matt, and they matter too. They're living single. Nah, I'm messing with y'all. Yo, thank y'all so much for putting up with me. This has been so much fun. I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I think that it's a great healing for everybody that's involved. So please give it up for your panel, and make sure that y'all stay tuned and give it up for all the people doing an amazing thing.
Woo! Good job, Kevin.
Good job.
Thank you so much, Kevin. That was hilarious. And thank you for, I know you aren't used to doing sit-down comedy, as you said, but you killed it. That was awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we'll keep it moving. The next portion will be our panel portion of our program here. We do ask that everyone mute yourselves and turn off your video. That way we can have the attention on our panelists. The way that this portion will go is that I will introduce the panelists to you, and then I'll ask them a specific question, and then they'll share their thoughts and feedback from that question. So our first panelist is, oh, and also one other thing, I'm sorry. As the panelists are speaking, if you are moved or inspired to ask the question, please remember to put that question in the chat box, and then we'll do our best to get around to answering that question during the Q&A portion of the program. So our next, our first panelist is Miss Tamia McEwen, Dr. Tamia McEwen. She is a peer living for 20 years in long-term mental health and wellness recovery, sought yoga in response to her own search for living well beyond traditional medications. She became a certified yoga and wellness instructor after having a 22-year career in public education, and started Be Well Friends to provide wellness support and hold space for others. So Dr. Tamia, the question that we have for you, is, how has mental health touched your own personal life?
Ooh, so I probably have, I don't know how much time I have.
Loaded question.
So I'll kind of walk it back. So I'm 45 right now. I had a major nervous breakdown when I was 23 years old, and I was hospitalized at 23. And I was diagnosed with acute schizophrenia. fast forward 10 years, I was 33 and I received the diagnosis of bipolar disorder. Fast forward to about 40-ish, and I was diagnosed with PTSD. Now, I've never served in the military, you know, so I'm like, where did that even come from? And, you know, some people would say, child, you just living, living, breathing while Black, you know, it can happen. So when you talk about how has mental health touched my life, it's been a journey that I was just on. You know, I came into advocacy just because I wanted to live well. I wanted to live well and I wanted to be well. And I refused to quit. Like, I refused to quit. I refused to not function at whatever the highest capacity I could function at. And I kind of refused to carry the cloak and the shame that kind of comes along with being diagnosed as mentally ill. So I say mental wellness. I don't use the term mental illness. I use the term mental wellness. I use the term living well, because we may be the ones that have a diagnosis, but trust and believe we're not the only ones that are dealing with a particular condition. And so, you know, those of us who have sought support in any particular way, I believe it takes a certain amount of courage to say, look, it's some stuff that's kind of going on with me, and I need a little help with this. And that was the thing that kind of brought me to my general practitioner. You know, I was a classroom teacher and I was in bed for a week and I couldn't get up. And my fear was that I was going to lose my job. And I was like, look, something is going on with me, and I don't know how to move from point A to point B. And that's when I received my diagnosis at 33 of bipolar disorder. Now at 23, it was way more dramatic, like public nervous breakdown, you know, complete loss of reality. Like somebody may make a movie out of it one day, I don't know, you know, but it was very public. It was very public. And that might be one of the reasons why I'm also a little comfortable publicly talking about it, because it didn't happen in the secrecy of my own home. It happened in front of people. So I felt called to advocacy because I'm like, look, ain't nobody gonna put my business out in the street. I'm gonna put this business is mine, and I'm gonna situate it the way it needs to be. So it's touched my life because it's my life. That's the long and the short of it. So, like,
Wow.
that's it.
Wow. Dr. Tamia, that is an amazing story. And I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate your resilience. I appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. I mean, I think so often we all fight these battles, and sometimes it may not be easy to kind of put a title on them or label them as kind of what we're going through, but we know we're battling something, especially within our community, because it's kind of frowned upon even to go to the point of being hospitalized or even seeking help when you get to that breaking point. So your again, your resilience is absolutely amazing, and I thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm sure that you have encouraged someone to maybe seek help, or to maybe kind of get in front of their diagnosis and kind of take their charge back and not let the diagnosis define them, and still be functional, and still be in charge of your life, and still be a contributing member of society. Like people sometimes get so wrapped up in the diagnosis, and it's so easy to succumb to what you're labeled as, not knowing that you can still be functional, you can still be resilient. So you have an amazing story, and I truly appreciate you sharing that with us. That was profound. Thank you. Okay, We will go on to our next panelist, Mrs. Alyssa Milton. Alyssa Milton is a licensed mental health counselor currently serving the Hillsborough and Orange County areas. She specializes in treating veterans, young adults, and adolescents, and has a passion for helping others improve their overall mental health. So the question that we have for you, Miss Alyssa, is what made you an advocate for mental health?
Well, good evening, everyone. So yes, I am a mental health counselor within Florida, of course. What has started me on my journey is personal. To the point is where I had a family member that was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Of course, we didn't really know that that's what it was. In and out of the hospital all the time, using drugs. Many things took place, but I was always that person that everybody would ask, what's going on? What can we do? Like, I felt like I was more of the spokesperson for the family. And I just also myself just seemed much more interested in what was happening. That led me to take a course in high school, which was AP psychology. And I just found that to be very interesting as well, in learning about the mind and how that works. Fast forward, I got into, after graduating with my bachelor's degree in psychology, I started working at a local psych hospital in Tallahassee called the Appalachian Center. It is very similar to Orlando's area of Aspire Health Partners, the community-based mental health hospital there. And that's kind of where I got my first touch of seeing when people cannot help themselves, I would say. In a manner like that, I have witnessed many people that need guardian advocates. We have those in the community as well for those that cannot, that may be incompetent to stand for themselves or discuss their own mental health. And so I was able to speak on their behalf to get them the best services that they need. I've been in a lot of programs or a lot of areas within mental health, whether it's with children, adults, now veterans. I have been that person to speak for them. I think that being an advocate for me has always been important because, again, we are exposed to, as a Black community, we are told to pray it off most of the time. We are told that there's nothing wrong with you, or just go, talk to grandma or go talk to your auntie or something like that. But sometimes you're just not able to do that, you're just not able to do that. And so what I've been wanting to do is to promote being that person that offers a safe space to individuals, to young people such as myself, to be able to have a safe place to speak and discuss everything that's going on. I had a client one time, actually, when I was in my internship program for my master's degree. I had a kid or a young kid, Black male, been struggling, kind of at-risk youth, always in and out of the juvenile detention center. But he told me, and that really stuck out to me, is he told me that, are you one of those people that, are you just in this field because you've been through something? That's another stigma that people often come about, is thinking that you have to have gone through something to want to be able to help people. Now, yes, I have experienced some things, unfortunately, but I still want to be able to be there for the people that can't be there for themselves overall. So, like I said, within my practice, and even just things I do in the community, I have been that main person that can speak on anyone's behalf, that anybody needs any services, any case management, any talking, any support, whatever, I am there for that. So that's kind of my journey or my experience of why I want, or that I'm continuing to be an advocate for mental health, especially within the Black community. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Alyssa. I think you certainly hit on some really good points, especially about how culturally mental health just isn't something that's spoken on. Like you said, we're told to go pray it off. And we're also told, what I can remember hearing is, our business stays in the house. So you don't go telling our business, you don't go talking about what happens in the house, and you kind of just are, you know, unfortunately, we aren't given the space to really validate how we feel or validate what we're going through. You kind of just got to sweep it under the rug and keep it moving, which again, I think speaks to really normalizing different things that we go through, and we haven't really had a chance to process them properly, which unfortunately manifests in different ways in our lives. So that's a very great background, and I thank you for your contributions to mental health.
You.
So we will go on to our next panelist, Mr. Mike Scott. Mike Scott is an Orlando native who has worked in the criminal justice system for many years. Mr. Scott is the executive director of Helping All Youth Achieve, an organization that advocates for young youth and adults. He leads the My Brother's Keeper mentoring program in the city of Orlando and mentors several local youth in the area. So our question that we have for you, Mr. Scott, get that here. The question that we have for you is, there's pressure in the Black culture to not talk about mental health. There is extra pressure on men. What does that look like, and how can we fight it?
It's scary because you want to be that macho guy, the guy that can handle anything. And it's like one of my mentors, Jason Wilson, talks about, you know, it's okay to cry. And, you know, as a Black man, we're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to be strong and tough. And as all of you have said in one way or another, when you talk about mental health, it's like, I'm not crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with me. What I need to go see and talk to somebody for. I work with a lot of juvenile offenders, specifically juveniles who are charged with adult crimes, and I've done that since 2004. And when bad things happen, it's a tear or a Facebook post and they keep it moving. If they have a religious family, they'll pray and they still will keep it moving. I personally have been in the military 11 years, and I've seen things that, you know, I still struggle to speak about, but I just learned a couple of years ago that I should go to mental health, but I wasn't going. Because I was like, what's wrong with me? I can tell you the first thing I told the mental health counselor at the VA, I was like, look, I was looking for a Black therapist, a Black woman. You know, I was the one trying to talk to a white woman, and you're younger than me, but, you know, I'll give you a shot. But ain't nothing wrong with me, and I ain't crazy. That's exactly how our session started. And since then, I've grown, but it was a process for me, and it's something that I had to try. There's no avenues. They don't think it's cool or accessible. So you have to have that dialogue with these young men and even older men, because they don't know what mental health is. The only thing they know is I'm not crazy. For me, we focused more on, you know, social emotional learning and teaching them, you know, the who, the how, and the why. As example, one of my young men today, I talked with him, and he was disappointed with his girlfriend for, I think she said or did something. And I was like, well, why are you mad? Cause that's messed up. I was like, no, but why are you mad? He's like, well, I don't know. I was like, you're disappointed because she didn't do what you would do if you were her. But you have to accept that she's not you, that she's different from you, and it's not right or wrong. She's just different. He's like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. And, you know, my kids, they all call me Mr. Mike. And when I say kids, I could be talking about a 22-year-old, 27-year-old, because I've done this so long. But the other piece is, I've seen 27 kids die, and I'm not talking about like, hey, I had a group with them, a session or whatever, like 27 kids. I can tell you their whole story. I've buried 3 boys this year, and I've written their obituaries for about half of them. I think 2017, I lost 4. In 2019, I lost 5. And so when we talk, these kids all know each other, and we talk through it. Like I had posted a list on Facebook, and I can tell you all my boys knew at least 4 or 5 or 6 of them. And it's important that you ask, how do you feel and why do you feel? I think that's how you start the conversation for Black men is, hey, how are you feeling? And it's not a once, twice, or a third time. It might be 4 or 5, 6 times before they open up. Well, what's going on? And sometimes you might have to share a little to get a little. Like, hey, this was going on with me. This is what I did. I went and talked to a counselor, or, you know, I talked to my mom. I talked to my pastor. I mean, you just have to find that connection with them, because it's not going to be the same with every kid. But I can tell you, if you're trying to deal with a young Black man or a man in his 20s or 30s, for me, I'm 38, it's a persistent question. It's a persistent conversation. You have to keep approaching them, but not in a way where it's overbearing. It's just like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm okay. Well, what you mean okay? Okay can mean a lot of things, you know? So I think if you are in the space where you're helping them, whether it's on a professional level or personal level, be persistent. Ask that question a lot, and if you need to, do a little research, because sometimes if you look at their Facebook posts, their Instagram posts, or how they respond to certain situations, they'll give you clues as to what's going on, and you can use that as your, I guess, code word or access to get in there. Because I see a post on Facebook, yo, what's up? Nah, Mr. Mike, this what happened. I'm jumping in the inbox immediately. Hey, and y'all, to be candid, y'all hoes doing this. Okay, well, something's going on. Let me find out. Girlfriend made him mad. Girlfriend cheated on him or something. Like, they give clues. At least the young people do. They will give you a clue to what's going on, but you got to be looking and paying attention and being consistent in the ask of the question. So for me, I think it's just being there and asking that question. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mike. I really appreciate that. I think, Black men have a whole other layer of things to kind of fight and work through. I think you all, Black men, have been conditioned to kind of just have this very stoic and kind of hard demeanor, well, not really allowing your feelings to be validated and really being able to freely express how you feel. And so I think Black men just have a whole other set of, whole other layer of trauma and work to really get through. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and thank you for the impact that you've had on our youth. So we will progress to our next panelist. It will be Ms. Tasha Anthony. Tasha is a registered mental health intern who specializes in substance abuse and recovery. She works passionately to help guide people in their journey and to become the best versions of themselves. So Ms. Tasha, the question that we have for you is, what makes this time different?
That's a good question. And it took me some time to ponder through this, but we all, as in the world, watched this 8 minutes and 46 seconds of what happened to George Floyd. And I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody when I can say we were just broken. At this point, we were broken. And for the couple days following this event, I remember everything I watched or anyone I spoke to, we couldn't even get through describing it without tearing up and crying. And I started to break down, like, it really was different. There was this pain across the board and I couldn't describe what it was. And then it got me thinking about the Black community and that very word community. Like, Black people, we are a culture that's communal. We refer to each other as brothers and sisters. So this isn't like individualistic. So when one thing happens, it's happening to all of us. And I think about just 2020, we all know the type of year it's been for everybody, but let's just break it down in the Black community. January, Kobe Bryant, we lose a legend, right? That shook the world. Everybody could relate to that. Whether you watch basketball or not, people were torn up about that. That happened in January. So we lose a brother, we're grieving. February, Ahmaud Arbery gets shot down by people for going in a house under construction and then jogging through his neighborhood. March, Briana Taylor gets shot while she's asleep. Then you have April. So we've got COVID in all of this too, and we're isolated from our community. We cannot spend time with our family. We can't be together. There's no socialization. Then we go to May, and we all watched the George Floyd happen. So we're talking just from January to May, just death after death. And we're grieving the loss of all those people, on top of the loss of maybe our employment, our family, whatever it is we're going through on top of all that. That's a lot of grief for anybody. So then on top of grief, let's add in some trauma, because we're watching these videos. And to be in a place where you experience trauma doesn't mean you have to personally go through it. Watching trauma can trigger trauma in others. And the Black community has gone through so much trauma. So every time we see this, we are triggered yet again. Here we go again, and you feel defeated, unheard, and it's no wonder we've all hit this point with George Floyd being this catalyst that we're done. We cannot take anymore. So we've got our trauma, we've got grief, which we can't even process because it's back to back. And now we're in an active racial war. I don't think many people will see it that way, but it is. We are fighting for our race, we are fighting for our survival. And it's interesting, and I love what you said, Mike, about men, especially, just in the Black community, crying. I remember growing up, and I don't know how many of you have heard this, but it's, do you want me to give you something to cry for? If we were crying, or don't cry, we're strong. Wipe those tears. Like, we're never allowed to show this weakness as if crying makes us less of a person. But, when you really think about it, when babies are born, what is the first thing we do when we come out of the womb? We cry. That's the very first thing. That very action is what dictates how healthy we are. The louder and stronger we cry, the healthier the baby. So somewhere along the lines, the very thing that dictated that we were alive and well has become stigmatized to dictate that we are weak, that we're not supposed to do that. And the mental health of Black people, we just suppress it. You know what, I'm okay. We just push it down. I don't have to deal with it. I mean, I gotta be stronger than that. And that's not okay. We have to come to a place where we learn that it is okay to not be okay. And it's unhealthy to suppress and to push down everything we're going through. We have to go through it. So I have this little visual. I've never done this sitting down on a screen, so I hope this works, but can everybody see? This is a Coca-Cola bottle, right? So just imagine this is us, you individually. Everything in here, all this dark stuff is everything you've had to push down. Every racial slur you've gone through, every time you felt you weren't okay, every time you needed to cry or needed an outlet and we're told that's not okay. We push it down and then we put this lid on so tight so we can say, you know what? I've got it all under control. I bottled it up. I'm good to go. But then an event happens. You've got Kobe Bryant, right? Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, you name them, we shake it up. I'm gonna need some help. Tamia, unmute yourself. Let me ask you a question. If I were to give you this and say, I want you to hold this over you and open it, would you do it?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Mm-mm. I know what those bubbles are.
What's gonna happen? What will happen if I try to open this?
It's gonna splatter all over the place and me, and I'm wearing all white, so.
Yes, we know this, it's going to explode. We push things down so much, and then the only outlet we have is anger. And the very outlet we know how to let out because we pushed it down, we explode. And then we're stereotyped for being angry, and we're horrible and we're criminals because we're angry. But there's no other outlet. We're told every other way is unhealthy and it doesn't show our strength. So mental health and erasing the stigma of mental health means opening this. You hear that? That's pressure. We let it out. You get to a place where you can trust somebody, where you can open your lid, let it all out, and be okay. You've got to be able to talk about it, to move through it, and to move on. Otherwise, it's just going to be one explosion after the next. So I think that's really when I've been thinking about what makes it different. That's what it is for me.
Wow, what an awesome analogy. Thank you so much for that visual. It kind of helps us to really put into perspective the amount of pressure that's been built up. And like you said, I mean, back to back to back, like we can't even catch a breather because it's always something, literally. And even in being a mental health professional, as I am, it's been such a challenge to try to process things on your own while still showing up for our clients. Yes. So the only way I can describe it is it's been really draining. Like this has just been such a draining year in so many ways. So thank you so much for sharing that and kind of allowing us to put into perspective visually what we've all, I'm sure, have felt over the course of this year. So thank you so much, Tasha, for sharing that. That was awesome. So we will progress on to our Q&A portion. Thank you to everyone who has put their questions in the chat box. Just a reminder, we've got quite a few questions, so we'll try to get through all of them as best we can. And we will go ahead and get started, and our panelists will be answering the questions for us. So the first question that we have is, what is being done about our Black youth and other Blacks being misdiagnosed and carrying that stigma for a lifetime? So if any of the panelists want to jump in and answer that question. Okay, Mike?
Hey, so this is an example of we're always learning. I've been working with young men since 2004. But last year I had the opportunity to go to Louisville, Kentucky for the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. Didn't know anything about it, and I felt like, wow, how did I not know about this? And so as an organization, CBMA, works to advocate and educate, Black men, not just young Black men, but all Black men, and work on those diagnoses. How do we approach things? Is there something really wrong with the young men, or have they not had the support? So as an organization, they do education. That's actually how I met Mr. Jason Wilson. You guys might not know him by name, but I'm sure you guys might have seen a YouTube video about the karate instructor, a Black man, telling him it's okay to cry, son. What's going on? And talking through that. So that's Jason Wilson, and he wrote the book called Cry Like a Man. So for us here locally, City of Orlando Parks and Recreation, working with the 33rd Jail and the Juvenile Detention Center and a youth shelter, we've used that organization to bring in different speakers to work with the kids, but also teach our staff about, are you sure about this diagnosis? Is it really is it the adequate diagnosis for this young man or this group of young men, or is it more something wrong with it where they're not having support? Because a lot of times it's just a lack of support. But I hope that answered your question. We have organizations and individuals that we're bringing in to reassess how we diagnose the kids, and if that is in fact a valid diagnosis.
Awesome, thank you for that. Would any of the other clinicians or panelists like to contribute to that question? Okay, so we will go on to our second question. The second question that we have: is it practical for us as mentors to teach young boys to be vulnerable when it is not always safe to be that way in their environments?
I can answer that. I'd like to answer that one.
Okay.
I think it is practical. And here's why. Because when we teach them it's to not be vulnerable, we're teaching them that they can't validate what they're feeling. We're teaching them to not acknowledge the fact that they have feelings and that they have to hide what they have. So therefore, that right back to that Coke analogy, if they're not okay, push it down. I'm not allowed to be vulnerable. And then it's going to come out in a way that it may be too late to do anything about it at that point. So maybe in a healthy space with counseling, with a trusted counselor, or with a family member where it's okay to say, look, what you're feeling is okay. Acknowledge what you're feeling, feel it, and then have some healthy coping mechanisms or coping tools, which I think we'll have in our resources, I'm not sure, of how to get through this feeling. But don't ever ignore them or suppress them, because it's not going to help anything. If anything, it's just going to make it worse and put this burden on these young men that they have to be strong at all times.
Hi, thank you for that. This is Tamia. I'd like to add on to that if I can. So I think that it's really important to guide individuals to being safe within their own bodies, within their own bodies, within their own breath. So a mindfulness activity is really being able to turn your focus inward and to find that safety within yourself. You may not always be in a position where you can come out and discuss something with someone else, but empowerment comes and we can take our power back in knowing that I am safe within my own space, within my own body, and within my own time. I can seek someone else out if I choose. And that way, that power stays with you. The power of your breath and the power of taking a pause when a pause is needed within yourself, creating that space and setting up boundaries is a worthy tool that anyone can have. And it's not dependent upon someone else telling you yes or no.
Awesome. Thank you both for your input. Our next question is, what 3 things do you suggest to improve our personal mental health?
I'll speak on that. It's Alyssa, Milton. One of the things that I suggest first off is self-care. I am very big on that. I know for me, it's one of the things that I haven't really been able to do, or no one has been able to do, is travel. And that is a lot of people's kind of self-care thing. But making sure that you take time out for yourself, whether that's working on your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional health, all of that. It is very important to do so. I don't know. Oh, okay. Hello? Everybody can still hear me?
You're good, Alyssa.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Hear you.
So self-care, I'm very big on the meditation, the mindfulness is another one. And also another thing is seek professional assistance. If that's a counselor, a life coach, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, whoever, a peer support, whoever you want to speak to, that's another way that I suggest.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Three that I'll give, since I say we only have 3: mindfulness, meals, and movement. Those are the 3 that I'll say. Eating nutritiously definitely can, bolster us a 1,000 times over. Blueberries, walnuts, if you don't have a nut allergy, are great for, mental health. And just moving to kind of release any pent up energy, or even to work up some energy, and, mindfulness and breathing, and just kind of coming back to centeredness and awareness. So if you're thinking of 3, the 3 that I say: mindfulness, meals, and movement.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those suggestions. Our next question is, what is the first step to changing the stigma in the Black community? Would anyone like to
I'll
answer
answer
that?
this one.
Okay.
I think, if I'm being honest, I think the younger generation has already started moving towards understanding mental health and knowing it's okay to not be okay and going to see people. I think an important step would be for the younger people to speak to their families, like the old, I don't know, not to be younger or older, but just speak to parents, to speak to grandparents, and let them know, yes, this is what you guys were taught, and this is how you raise, your business stays inside, but it's okay to go see people. It's okay to get some help. It's okay to discuss your feelings and to be vulnerable. And I think that will go a long way, especially when we have the younger people cheerleading that and letting them know it's okay. And then I personally, just through experience, I've heard with my clients, when they go back and talk to their parents, that's always, nope, they don't want to see anybody. Nope, they tried it, it didn't work. But then as my clients continue to come and their family members see the change in them, then they start to open up more. Okay, maybe that is something I could do, or maybe that is something that could work for me. So I think for those of us who already believe in mental health and understand the importance of it, we use our voices and our experiences to reach as many people as possible who may not feel the same way, and open their eyes to realize how powerful it is and how much it can change you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that input. Okay, we will go on to our next question. How can allies help our Black friends and family members in our community?
Okay. That's a broad question. It's several ways. And that would depend on, like, what can you do? Can you support financially? Can you physically volunteer? Can you hire at equitable rates? The list is long. But if you're looking at what you can do, you have to know your truth and your power and your platform, and bring your humanity with you wherever you go.
Good answer.
I was like, I would add on that too. Alyssa, were you going to say something?
I think for me, because I've also been asked the same question, one of the things that I would just say, I know everyone, I've had some people that's talking about reading books and this, that, and the other. I think if you can just educate the people that aren't really allies to us, if you can just educate them on your experience and being around the Black community that you are aware of, I think it can start there. Like I said, I know people that have been reading books, but it's for me, it's just a little different to read a book and really understand the Black community. You know, a lot more has to come from that, starting with experience. And if you can't really start with your own experience, of course, the Black people or the Black community that you are friends with or communicate with or work with, kind of better understand what they have going on to be able to share with other people as well that may not know.
I love that. And if I could add to it, a big part of how to become an ally is to evaluate yourself. You know, what is the biases that you may carry? And only when you're aware of that is when you can make a change personally to be better, and then you can help others. And I've heard so many people, and collectively I've seen it, don't stay silent. It's been so many people staying silent for so long and nobody wanted to listen, and you have platforms that we can't reach, and you have people that you may be able to influence that we can't. So use your voice. Your voice is your power. So if you really want to help make a change, on top of educating yourself, on top of becoming aware for yourself, on top of donating and all of that, be a voice. We need voices. We need people who look like our allies to also speak on our behalf. And that may not resonate with everybody, but for me, that's very important, because there are many people I'll never be able to reach, or people that I'm not allowed to be around. And if they have a racial bias, I can't point that out. Or if I point that out, I'm just an angry Black woman and nobody's trying to hear it. Oh, here we go with this race pandering. But as an ally, if you are a voice where you can point out something to say, look, this is maybe how we used to be. This is how I used to think too, but I've learned something. Let me help you. That's how we can all come together and change this for good.
Thank you. So, oh, okay.
Oh, I thought about this question. So, and it kind of answers the question that you asked about, you know, how as a white person can they advocate? But there was another question that kind of tied in where I seen in the chat box where they asked about how can I, as a white counselor, really relate to young Black kids and not make the parents, you know, kind of shun me or be upset because I'm advocating for their kids for mental health or whatever it is they need. As the kids would say, be the plug. Be the plug. I can tell you that there are some white people that are blacker than Black people. I have the good fortune of working for on a senior level. My boss is a white woman, but I tell you, you can't tell me she's not a Black woman and how she advocates and how she fights. I'm in a unique position in a sense where I was hired because I came on with the city. They appointed me in September because of my community work. So now fast forward, all these things happen. I'm still doing my community work where I've had conversations and say, hey, if I need to quit my job or get fired, just know that's going to happen because I'm organizing protests. I'm out here with the protesters doing stuff, and I'm calling the police out. But hey, now I'm working for the city, so it's like, hey, you're pointing out the flaws. Wrong is wrong, you know. And I'm going to stand on my beliefs. So I think that's the same thing is true for anybody, regardless of your race. Is be the plug, be the access point. Like everyone has said, hey, I don't know this funding source. I don't know this organization. You have access to things that we may not know about, may not be able to reach. And I think that's how you help. And then I saw a question asking about death. Make them remember the good times. Like you guys know, some of you may know that there was a young man that was shot, Dexter Rentz, a football player, after attending another funeral for one of our kids. And Shaq was gracious enough to pay for his funeral. What a lot of people don't know is that his 15-year-old brother, he died in his brother's arms. The police pulled one of the young men who was trying to give him CPR off of them and held him down by gunpoint. And I say all that to say this. I said, what do you remember about your brother that's funny? And he's like, I can't remember anything. And then I pulled up a video on Facebook and I showed it to him. He started laughing. I was like, think about every moment where you can laugh. So if you're trying to counsel a Black man with death, try to make them laugh, make them remember the good times. But I just wanted to answer because I saw that in the chat box or whatever. But be the plug. If you are not Black and you can't identify, be the plug and be open to the criticism. I hear a lot, and I'll end it with this. Oh, Mike, you're so very articulate, to people that don't know me. And my first thing is like, well, damn, what the hell was you expecting? Well, I put, bro, what up, Claude? I mean, I don't know what you were expecting. I wonder, I have to be cautious and read body language, because that's telling me you're surprised that I can speak proper and good and correct English, and that you were thinking that, you know, maybe I was white talking to me on the phone because I use my proper voice, or my white voice, as some people would say. So I wonder, you know, where are you getting that from? What stereotype are you looking at? So just be open to the criticism and know that it's coaching as opposed to attacking you as a person, or saying all people are a certain way. Just be open to that criticism, but also be open to being the plug and speaking up. Sorry, I didn't mean to get too long-winded on you guys.
Thank you so much for that input, Mike. Those are some really, really great points. You definitely hit everything right on the head. Thank you for all of your contributions. We are running a little tight on time, so unfortunately, this will most likely be our last question. We appreciate everyone for their input and their participation and putting your questions in the chat box. Our last question is, what do you think needs to happen structurally to truly make substantial progress towards a fair and just society? Anyone like to give their input on that question?
I'm like, okay, so we're solving all of the world's issues tonight, right here, and
right here, right
Mental
now.
Health Matters. We're solving all the world's problems. I mean, obviously, that is not.
Pay on the thing, or do you still got to cash at me? I gotta pay there.
That's no small potatoes, but okay. So in the chat, someone says, "Get out and vote." Goodness. The only thing that I can say right now, and not to minimize, is you have to advocate where you can, knowing what your platform is. What your platform is and what your sphere of influence is. Like, know where your power is. We have power to vote. We have power to show up equitably in the decisions that we make. We have power to know what we do know for certain and where we need to grow and learn. That's the smallest way that I can, impact that. Taking care of ourselves initially, first, doing no harm with ourselves and others, extending that same attention and gratitude to how we interact with others, and then building our communities. And then hopefully the communities, that transformation of well-being, that circle of care will come back around, because we've done our work, we've influenced our circles, and we're influencing the larger community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Would any of the other panelists like to give their input on that question? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for your contributions to the Q&A portion. Thank you all so much to our participants who put the questions in the chat box. I mean, there was some really great dialogue and awesome questions that were posed. And thank you to our panelists for giving your input and kind of shedding some light, and as Dr. Tamia said, fixing the world's problems tonight in this evening. So thank you to everyone for your input. We will progress on to our next portion. It's raffle time. Woo! We have our my fake drum roll there. So we are going to start our raffle. Remember that if you have to be present to win. And if you do win, if you could just unmute your video and your microphone to share your enthusiasm. And the raffles will be to support Black businesses. And you'll be able to choose a Black business of your choice for a gift card. And they'll get with you all via the email address that you registered with to get you the gift card of the Black business of your choice. So we will get started. Again, you have to be present to win. So we'll get started and we will spin the wheel. Let's see. Christian Scones, come on down.
Is she on?
Is she on? That's the real question. Is she on?
I'll text her.
Okay. If she's
Then
here.
again.
Okay.
Oh, no, gotta be present to win.
Yes, you have to
I
be
just don't
present
know
to
if
win.
she's on.
That's the catch. Okay. So we'll give Christian a few more seconds. I don't think she's on. So we unfortunately will have to move on to the next person here. So we'll spin again. All righty. Next we have Marissa Parker. Come on down.
Yay!
Is Marissa here? Okay, I think I hear someone. I think she's here.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Beautiful. Congratulations, Marissa. You'll be able to choose a $20 gift card to the Black business of your choice. And we'll get with you to get that gift card to you.
Thank you much.
Okay, so we have one down. We have 4 more to go. And we're going to spin again. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Alitria Cruz? Probably pronounced that all wrong. I'm so sorry. Is Miss Alitria Cruz, is she with us? Going once? Going twice? Okay, maybe she's not on. Okay, we'll spin again. Danny Dominguez, come on down. Woo! Okay.
All right.
Congratulations, Danny.
All right.
Awesome. Congratulations to you and your $20 gift card. So, okay, so we have 2 winners so far. We have 3 more to go. So let's spin again. Let's see. Zaidi Burgos. Ooh. Again, I'm so sorry for the mispronunciation. I winged it and I apologize if I got that wrong, but is she here? Here, she here? Going once, twice? I don't think they're on the call. Okay, we'll spin again. Lorraine. Is Lorraine on? No, going once, going twice? Okay, Lorraine is not on. We'll spin again.
Yes, I'm
Daniel
on.
Buckley.
Hey, I'm on.
You're awesome. Congratulations, Daniel, on your $20 gift card.
Come on, so.
Congratulations. Okay, so that's 3 winners so far. 2 more to go. Let's spin again. Uh-oh. Don Thompson, come on down. Is Don Thompson on? No, maybe not. Okay.
That's my auntie.
Is your auntie on?
Yeah, that's our aunt. She was. I was like, she was on. I don't know where she.
That's a good one.
I like that.
Shame.
Okay, so auntie have to catch us next time. Okay, we'll spin again. Lauren Andrew. Is Lauren Andrew on? No. No, Lauren. No, Lauren. Going once, going twice. Okay, Lauren will catch us next time too. Okay. Let's see who we have next.
Mika
Mayers. Is it Mika Mayers on? Amika, are you there? Maybe not. Okay, so I don't think Amika is on. So we'll have to go on to the next one. Unfortunately, let's spin again. We have 2 more winners to be selected. Dandelion Bambico. Woo, another one. I'm so sorry if I messed that up. But are you on? Possibly? Yes, no? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We will spin again. Let's see. Evans Campbell, come on down. Are you on? Let's see.
Did you say Tevin Campbell?
No, I wish it was Tevin Campbell.
Can we talk for a minute?
For a minute. Girl, I want. No, not Tevin. Not Tevin. Right. But I don't think the other Campbell is here either. So we're going to have to spin again.
Someone in the chat, they said Lauren is here, but Lauren's audio is not working.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
Says Lauren is here.
Okay. So Lauren is here. Okay, so then that means we have one more winner to be selected. Ooh. And last but not least, let's see who we get. Bernadette McKenzie. Bernadette McKenzie, come on down. Are you on? Bernadette. Going once. Going twice. I don't know if Bernadette is on.
You just close your eyes and go to the full screen of everybody and point.
I know, that's what I was going to say. Lauren wants to donate her win.
Alex Rivera. Alex Rivera, are you on?
Woo! Your boy's on.
Woo! Go, Alex. Congratulations.
Appreciate y'all.
Alex.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you all.
Congratulations to all of our raffle winners. That is a super awesome prize to support a Black business, and you can't beat that. So thank you all for participating. And again, we will get those gift cards to you and correspond with you via the email address to use to register for the event. So thank you again for everyone. Oh my gosh, what an awesome event. Thank you guys for your participation, for your input. If you could, if you can, please join the Facebook group, Black Mental Health Matters. There, it'll be some resources shared and to kind of continue the discussion beyond this Zoom event. And it'll just be a great space to continue the conversation and to continue the dialogue. So we encourage you all to join the Facebook group. We will go ahead and transition to Dr. Tamia, who is going to share a mindfulness exercise with us.
Oh, hello, everyone. Just to close us out, we'd like to thank everyone for being here. And just very simply, I'll invite you all just to come to a comfortable seat, as comfortable as your breath, body, and circumstances allow. We've taken in a lot, and let's just breathe regularly. You can stretch your arms, maybe stretch your arms to the side and just kind of invite some movement in. Roll your neck to the left, perhaps. Breathe in, roll your neck to the right, perhaps. Inhale, arms up. Just hold slightly at the top. Exhale, bring your arms down, perhaps. You can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your abdomen when we're just simply gonna breathe. Just breathe in, no particular way. And just take in some breaths. And it's just inhale in. Just check in with yourself. And let yourself exhale. We'll take one more regular breath. Just breathe it in. Hold at the top slightly. Let it out. Maybe let your exhale be a little longer than your inhale. We'll just take one more breath in. Checking in with our bodies, our minds. Your eyes can be open or closed. It's up to you. Hold at the top. Just exhale, and we'll take one last one together. Just breathe in. Just hold it slightly and exhale. Thank you all for joining us today. Everyone be well. Everyone be well. Back to you, Briana. Briana, you're muted.
Talking, sorry. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamia, for the awesome exercise. Mindfulness is a practice that we all can implement. But thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much to our panelists and everyone that made a contribution to this event tonight. It was so, so awesome. Thank you so much to Peer Support for curating this space for us and allowing us to express freely and be vulnerable. We don't get that opportunity often. So thank you so much to everyone and your contributions. What an awesome event. And I already can't wait until the next one. So thank you all for everything. So, so awesome.
Thank you, Yasmin, Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and please join the Facebook group.
Join the Facebook group.
Yes.
Hi, guys.